Barrow's Tempus of Bellum, also known as Barrow the Hammersmith, written by Alexander D. Harris. Outline: Chapter 1, Origin. Chapter 2, Friends or Foes. Chapter 3, Hurley's Watch. Chapter 4, High Elf's Wedding. Chapter 5, Castle Veratio. Chapter 6, Arming for War. Chapter 7, The Battle at the Gate. Chapter 8, Survivor's Tale. Chapter 9, Hero's Ceremony. Chapter 10, Lands Far Away. Intro. I could think of writing a story. What could I write a story about? Why not adventure? Okay, adventure is a good thing to write a story about. Who's the main character in this adventure? Barrow. Who is Barrow? He is the Hammersmith. What if he makes armor and weapons? What does he make them out of? He makes them out of iron. Does Barrow make shoulder pads? Yes, of course. He makes the base out of leather, and he plates them with iron squares. Does he have a place to treat his leather and iron when it comes out hot? Yeah, of course. There's a place outside of his shop. What's in his shop? Tongs, a table, and a furnace, and a couple anvils. How hot does it get in the shop? Really hot to where the Hammersmith sweat bullets? What is the price of his biggest weapon? 1,000 onyx pieces. Why do they deal in onyx? Well, they also deal in rubies and gold pieces. Onyx stones are the most precious stone in the story, for they are used in the most skilled patterns and crafts. The Hammersmith has access to the bank. The bank is owned by the trustees of the Graft. The Graft is a guild of the Sylvan faction. The Sylvan faction stems from the High Order of Terran. The Order of Terran has held position in the land of Resin for centuries. For 4 centuries. It was only held before by one other order for 12 centuries, and that was the Order of Saran. Chapter 1, Origin. The legend of Barrow the Hammersmith continues as the man worked hard in his shop. He found a new pattern. This pattern was for a claymore that would weigh up to 50 pounds. The claymore would be made out of the strongest steel and would be used to fight the army of Jimpo. The claymore would be etched with the runes of the tribe that Barrow is associated with, the Kilimanjaro tribe. As part of this tribe, there is an ancient greeting that all of the town takes part of, and it consists of shouts and dancing the whole town enjoys. The festivities of the moon are times of great rejoicing in the town. The claymore will be finished in a week time and be purchased by Hurley, the village butcher. Hurley was recruited for the Great War of Surrets. He will leave behind his wife and 2 children to take his post at the far watch of the gates of fire. This is a noble post for Hurley. Barrow the Hammersmith still has yet to be issued his assignment for war, but he remains hard at work, ready for whatever his tribe order has for him. If this is anything like the War of Yestermoon, there may be all hands on deck at any moment. Barrow has just finished his claymore, and he has sold it to Hurley. Hurley is posted on the front lines. Hurley will engage in battle against the low dwarven society of Beyond. Hurley is expected to take out ranks of dwarves with his newly fashioned claymore. He is ranked legionnaire, and he fights against the hordes of Duamon. Hurley has 2 warring companions, Ivy and Phrasin. They are of the High Order of Terran. They are each equipped with mythical longbows, and they shoot poison-tipped arrows. The 3 of them form a party of heroes and are part of the greater guild of Killian. The Killian guild is quite wealthy bunch. They have made profits for the accruement of mineral resources from the Glacian mines of Ralston. The mines were rich with onyx, topaz, and beryl. Onyx is the rarest mineral and sells nicely on the Terran Order market and can also be used in trades. Just how Hurley purchased his claymore from Barrow. Did Hurley give his claymore a name on purchase? I suppose he did. He named it the Bloodvarian. He even got to test out his claymore on some leather samples that Barrow had lying around. Ivy and Phrasin bought ample amounts of hides for the trade in leatherworking, and they have a full armor kit made of leather. They even made an oversized cape for Hurley out of lion fur. The Killian Guild recruits 10 new members each spring. They have a core group of about 20 officers and are looking for new hands to handle the mining seasons of summer and fall. The training for the mining season is backbreaking. Remember, all the while, the Killian Guild is called out to fight by the Terran Order to face the evil forces of the Duamon. The troops of the Duamon are generally outfitted with short swords and daggers and are the deranged soldier look. The Duamon don't treat the soldiers very well. They are very hasty in battle and make ridiculous advancements that are easily stopped by the Terran Order. The war was in fact been started over 2 centuries ago, and the Terran Order has done wonderfully in guarding its castle in New Varna. The castle is called Veratio, and it has been standing for a millennia. It was made by an ancient race of the Quavarnas who were most skilled in archery. The design of the castle has been modified over past centuries and has been upgraded with each discovery of new stone and mineral as the people have advanced beyond the borders the Saran Order had previously established. The Killian Guild made sure the Terran Order was one of much discovery, ingenuity, and engineering advancement. Barrow served as a supplier of weapons to the Killian Guild for about 3 decades. There was no lack of support for the Terran Order. They were very diplomatic and skilled at war, and put a stop to all offensive strikes from the Duoman hordes. The Duoman, although quite barbaric, they were advancing over the millennia, for some servants of the Terran and Saran Order were recruited as spies and eventually bought over for the most incredulous reasons. One trader sold out key discoveries because he complained that the High Orders didn't make his food just the way he liked it, which was insane because that was what he ate wasn't even good for him in the first place. But you know, some people just want to live life the way they think is right and forget about the bigger picture. With the Terran and Saran Order, there's always a bigger picture. The people of the Order are the most noble people I've ever met, and yes, I, Barrow, am one of them. There are a lot of expectations of being a member of the Order. The King and Queen of the Order do expect a lot, but they do offer more mercy than you would think. They're human to you, no, but they have found a better way that's been passed down from generation to generation within the Order. A way that promotes the most life, and with the most life, the biggest celebrations. Families are large in the Order. Human flourishing is a key element to the Orders. The average family with parents in their 40s has anywhere from 3 to 10 kids. There are some families with up to 20 children. Yes, some were most fruitful. They had quintuplets, triplets, and twins. Chapter 2, Friends or Foes. The land as we know of it was filled with new families. Hurley was hard at work at the Gates of Fire. He kept good patrol and was advanced and ranked champion of the army for his key input in matters of defense and execution, the hardest training regime that the Watch has seen. Then Hurley was granted a week off at the beach of Sundial, a day's trip north of the Gates. The beach is beautiful, full of black ash sands and polished gray rocks and protrude out of the coast. Hurley was on his 3rd day of the trip when all of a sudden he saw something flicker in the distance. He suspects that it was something, but it was rather cloudy that day. He pulls the scope that he was given to him for the watch on the Gates of the Fire. He sees what turns out to be the red flag through the dense fog. The flag became more visible and was a red flag in a white trim and a gold lion in the middle of it with one paw ready to attack. Hurley scratches his head and racks his mind to imagine what a flag it might have been. From the history of this land, he is speechless. This is a foreign flag. It's foggy. I can only make one flag. This better not be an armada. Hurley makes a fire on the coast and waits until the fog lifts. That evening, just before dusk, Hurley takes another sighting with his scope, and his fears have come alive. There is an armada after all. About 50 ships have arrived and are about 3 to 5 miles off the coast of the northern shores of Sundial. Hurley determines that this threat is worth reporting immediately to the Gates of Fire and makes an arduous journey overnight, and through the morning back to the Gates of Fire. He immediately lets his captain know that they light the brazier chain all the way back to the castle of Horatio. The kingdom is on full alert, and Hurley gave them just enough time to respond to this foreign navy.
The guard asked Hurley, "Who are these people?" Hurley, "Honestly, I don't even know if they're people." Guard, "What, you expect them to be elves?" Hurley, "Possibly. I knew they existed, but I didn't expect them to be from around here." Guard, "What do you think they want?"
Warlord Sneed, "I'm not sure, but allow Hurley to escort the ambassadors to the coast of Sundial and a quarter of our forces also. Leave the king and queen at Castle Horatio and we will handle this. The Order has gotten this under control, and this hasn't happened in a long time. We will handle the Duoman accordingly." The diplomatic party met up with Hurley, and they brought a generous peace offering from the castle treasuries. Let's see if we can settle this up front and tell them it is our territory, and see if this new party needs refuge with intent of conquest. Hurley's party notices the Red Lion flag ships had already beached. Just as they suspected, they were elves. It is rare, if not unfathomable, that an elvish navy would show up on the land's resident shores. But here we are, and the level of advancement of the ships of the royal armor and garb of the elves shows sophistication and high levels of craftsmanship.
Hurley, we will try to negotiate. Follow me.
They wait until the noon and approach the elven guard with 3 of the Order's best diplomats, and Hurley at the head with the giant white flag.
"Rello, stop! Who goes there?" says the elven guard. "Hurley, We are natives of the land of resin which you have breached, and I have brought my chief negotiators to figure out why you have come to our land. Dionytrus, we are of the High Order of Taran, and we seek your counsel immediately. Cimarron, please, we bring a goodwill order, and we seek to negotiate immediately. Osis, the third diplomat, chimes in. You will find our land quite reasonable if you wish to cohabitate or seek refuge. Relos speaks up. I am Relos, god of the Elven. I have come from a land northeast of this coast called Callum. Elves have been flourishing in this land for millennia, and we wish to seek counsel for peace immediately. Callum has been richly integrated with dwarves, elves, and humans which you might not have experienced in your land. We mean peace and no deceit, and we mean to have you talking to our leaders immediately. We accept your goodwill offering, and if it's no harm to you, we wish to camp on the beach.
Hurley nods and asks Relos for a minute. The party groups up and has a quick discussion.
Dionytrus, they mean peace, and all we could do was give them a little refuge. Cimarron, what if they want more than we are willing to give? Osis, this is going all right. What if we let them stay? Maybe they could share their advancements in craftsmanship, ingenuity. We are facing prosperity, aren't we? Hurley, all right. They can stay and mingle with the population. We can give out terms, and it will be all right.
The two diplomatic parties met and stated their terms and agreed to forge an alliance. The Lionhearts and the Terran Order have agreed to make peace in the land of resin. Hurley spoke with Chief Elf Telmore, and Elf congratulated him, Hurley, on the land's prosperity and flourishing, and even joked that they are almost as fruitful with children as the elves. The two parties laughed and camped by the fire at the beach in Sundial and made jokes with one another until late evening. Chapter 3, Hurley's Watch. Hurley, after accepting peace with the Lionhearts in the land of resin, journeyed back to the Gates of Fire. Hurley was met by his fellow guards and was told the High Warlord of the Terran Order wanted to congratulate him on his diplomatic adventures with the Lionheart Elves.
Sneed, Hurley, you've done so well under my watch, and you're the right guy for the job.
Hurley, what do you mean? I was just promoted to champion not too long ago.
Sneed, the Warlord Sneed, says, Hurley, I have seen your works on this post. I know your sacrifice to leave behind your family at Castle Veratio. I have high hopes for you, and I want to promote you on this day to Lieutenant General. The leaders and all the other guards would agree you are too valuable not to be promoted. At Lieutenant General, you would have under you 1,000 of our bravest fighters. I think you can handle that level of responsibility. I would hear your strategies for war and would be honored to have you join my war council.
Chapter 4, High Elf's Wedding. High Elf Mindo is having a wedding to be wed at the beautiful elvish Princess Petria and has been asked the Terran Order if there's any skilled at smithing in the land. His royal armor is what he will wear for his wedding day and was looking for an upgrade.
Kingsguard, Barow, could do it. He is quite skilled in smithing.
Mindo, but is he a jewel crafter as well?
Kingsguard, he has done some work with onyx, ruby, and gold.
Mindo, that will be sufficient. The elves brought but a portion of our jewels treasury, and I would like him to build me a chestplate and a royal sword. The chestplate will be embedded with 12 rows of 10 of each precious stone. I am glad you all have ample onyx in the land because we do not in Callum. We will create the sword infused with onyx stone for ceremonial effect, since you are allowing the wedding to take place in your land. How long do you think you need? Barow, I suppose I could get it done in 6 to 7 months. If you are willing to wait, do you need a rings fashion as well? Barow asked. The rings were forged in Callum and have been passed down in the Elven family. A period of 7 months passed. Mindo, do you have the royal armor and sword prepared? Barow, of course. It was a delicate process, but they are ready. Mindo, how did the chest plate finish? Barrow, well, the chest plate is made of polished steel and embedded with its rows in descending order: onyx, agate, sapphire, topaz, chrysolite, jacinth, turquoise, ruby, jasper, amethyst, emerald, and beryl. Mindo, perfect Barrow, well done. Barrow, the shoulder plates are even made out of gold with the supply you gave me. Mindo, what about the sword? How did that turn out? Barrow, the sword, had the jewels of onyx embedded along the blade and came out quite nicely. Royal Guard, I think you are ready for your ceremony. Mindo, let Lady Petria know. Barrow asked, how many guests are you planning on having? Mindo, don't worry, Barrow, you made the armor, you got an invite. Barrow, oh thanks, but I need to find you all a venue at the Castle Verasio. I could put in a good word to the King and Queen. Possibly we can get you in at the Overlook. There's a waterfall that runs off the Overlook and the venue seats about 500. Mindo, you're telling me water runs through the castle? Barrow, yeah, engineering was able to have water run through the castle and power some of the castle systems, and scenic waterfall is a wonder. The waterfall has a drop of 1,000 feet into the valley below. A month passes by. Mindo and Petria. Ceremony took place at the Overlook at Barrow's recommendation. The musicians of the order were quite talented and played some ceremonial songs, and the Elven Orchestra played enchanting music. The procession was packed. They fit 750 attendees into the Overlook. The High Elf's wedding was a must-see for the people of the Order. It was not every day that the elves get married in the land of resin. That happened a long time ago, but it's been ages. They served the best wine from Callum. The vows were exchanged in Trillian Elvish, a dialect from the southern Callum. Mindo and Petria. Suvis turavera tolondo escori. Order's translator says in English, through life and death we shall never part. The violinist played an elven dream song once the couple exited through the castle. Chapter 5, Castle Verasio. The Castle of Verasio is known for its rich history in Nirvana. The castle was masoned from stones cut out of the mountains nearby and lies high on the cliffs atop a valley where most of the residents dwell. There's a trail that leads up to the castle that has been heavily traveled. The castle holds an open forum for its residents to make petitions to the king and queen. The latest petition was from the king himself to make an armory addition to the castle. The order is to move the stables and to rebuild a wing for the armory. Barrow's counsel and wisdom is sought for the quantities, pricing, and man-hours to fill the armory with the land's most leading advancements in weaponry, technology, and engineering for siege and counter-siege operations. The blacksmith has had his fair share of experiences, for he is a veteran of many wars and expeditions. Barrow's reply to the king will be 100 polearms, 1,000 claymores, 5,000 bows, 1,000 shields, 100,000 to 500,000 arrows, 5,000 quivers, 3 siege shops, 10 blacksmithing shops, 100 anvils, 5,000 smithing hammers, 300 men skilled at smithing, 100 daggers are to be fashioned, 500 two-handed axes, and 100 one-handed axes. 15 siegecraft are to be designed by the siege shops. The stores of the armory are to be resupplied every 5 years. We wonder sometimes how we have resources to supply all these demands. The dwarves do own some mountain ranges in the domain, but the Zeiston mountain range has ample quarries for steel. The onyx that the Graft and the other guild bring in allows for fair trade amongst the dwarves to anything we might be lacking. The dwarves have their uses for onyx, but that should be explained much later. The armory's dimensions will be 25 meters by 40 meters. There will be a second floor installed to the armory. There will be cedar weapon mounts lined for every floor. The weapons will be partitioned accordingly throughout the armory. Credential access to the armory is essential. A wooden amulet with 1 onyx piece embedded in the access, and there will be only 50 given out through the order. Secondary measures, there will be a blue linen loop attached to every uniform to be tied at the right shoulder. The blue loop will be given to weapon specialists, head blacksmiths, and officers of the order. The floors of the armory will be made of thick cut of jade. There should be enough jade in supply to meet that need. The rafters will be made of oak. The lighting of the armor will come from the fire torches mounted on the wall. The armory is meant to be a secure location. There will not be many windows or roof access. There will be 2 points of entry, one on the east side of the wing and one on the west side of the wing, and the entrances will be guarded at all times. Barow reported all this to the king and received an outstanding approval.
King, well done, Barow. This addition will be completed in a year's time. We will give financial support from the royal coffers to have all designs and orders filled out expediently. King, you are invaluable, Barow. If the time comes to that, I will hand-select your warring party. I imagine there are other warriors who would fight beside you. Barow, I agree, wise king. I am prepared either way.
Chapter 6. Arming for War. The brazier chain lit last night. Word reached Castle Veracio, and it was reported to the king that a threat had emerged around the gates of fire.
Council member, Barow, how far along are you on equipping the armory? Barow, well, we are about 3/4 the way through. Council member, well, was the old armory stocked? Barow, yes, it had about 1/5 of what the new armory had in store. King, so you are saying we can supply about 95% of our army with weapons and the rest will have to do with the village tools and makeshift armor? Barow, sadly, but yes. Who is the new foe that we have come up against? Military champion. Another naval armada has arrived at the coast of No Man's Land at the opposite side of the Gates of Fire. We believe they will siege the gates at any day now. Send 3/5 of our army and let's sit back with the rest of guard and castle in the case of a surprise attack. Hurley is now down there with Sneed. King, Barow, I hate to ask this of you, but can you gather a troop of 12, including yourself? I'm promoting you to Centurion immediately. I will ask the elves if they could fill half your party. Mendo, can you bring 6 of your finest elves to accompany Barow to the Gates of Fire? We believe there will be a battle. Mendo, of course, after the generosity you have shown me and my people, we would gladly assist you. Take Relis, he knows Hurley. Also take Phylon, Rothan, Trino, Lysander, and last of all, my finest archer, Talos. King retorts, thank you, High Elf. I appreciate your loyalty to keep the land resin in order. I, the king, ask Bartholomew the swordsman, Cyrus the brave, Grendo the stout, Richmond the unyielding, Caius and the ingenious. King continues, the band of 11 soldiers will accompany Barow to the far watches of the Gates of Fire and will report to the new Lieutenant General Hurley. If you have all experienced any trouble along the way, I have all confidence that you can handle it. Take your pick from the armory and we will hold a banquet in your honor before you leave. King proclaims, the trip to the Gates of Fire may take you up to 3 days, depending on how fast you travel. Godspeed, and may you return victorious. We will be sending troops behind you, expect them in no less than a week. It takes time to muster up this large of a force on such a short notice.
Chapter 7. The Battle at the Gate. The band of heroes set off to the Gates of Fire on horse. They had an encounter with the Pride of Lions on the way over. They fought them off and did not entertain any losses. The lions did approach as they were sleeping, but there was fire and torches, and the archer Talos wounded 3 lions with flaming arrows. The travelers arrived at the Gates of Fire, and Relos gave Hurley a big pat on the back.
Relos, how are we holding up? Hurley, despite the land's prosperity, we have drawn contest. There's been reports of soldiers at the far watch howling in agony at night. These soldiers seem to be overpowered and stolen from the post with no remains to be found. There's been sight of a very dark gray-blue figure shifting around the volcano Maxis. Relos pipes up. I think I know what's going on here. The Lionheart faction has been followed. There in East Callum, there is a dark elf faction called Zerosai. The Zerosai faction speak a form of broken Trillian called Wissian. The Zerosai tribe are bent on conquest, power, pride, and deception. They will attempt to take over the land of resin. Is there a bay behind the volcano, Maxis? Hurley. Yeah, there is, reported Hurley. Relos, the soldiers are being taken as hostage, if not killed, and they have an armada about triple the size that we landed on the shores of Sundial. The Zerosai were giving us trouble in Callum, and we were seeking new land to find a life away from them. Expect them to make their move. They will seek to dominate and have no problem raiding villages.
A week passes. The Zerosai have become more aggressive. It appears there are around 30,000 Zerosai that have made encampments around the dormant volcano Maxis. The troops arrive from Castle Verasio, and there's about 15,000 altogether at the Gate of Fire. They brought 3 siege engines, 750 mounted horsemen.
Sneed to Hurley, this isn't good. We are now numbered 2-1.
Sneed and Hurley shout out battle formations for the army.
Barow to Relos, this is going to be one tough battle.
The squad of 12 banters among themselves. The battle commences when the 2 armies' infantry strike with the Zerosi attacking first. After 45 minutes of fighting, the 750 horse riders are sent in from the wing against the Zerosai. The Zerosai have giant elves called Blizgen that sweep to the front lines against the Lionheart and Terran Order infantries. The Lionheart archers launch off flaming arrows against the middle ranks of the Zerosai army. The Blizgen Zerosai elves are unfazed by the fiery arrows and continue to wipe out the front lines. The Zerosai launch catapulted volcanic rock at the Order's army. The Zerosai are making ground. The horse riders for the Order have been able to take out a few Blizgen elves and clear out some of the blue Zerosai swordsmen. The Zerosai archers fire next, raining poison arrows down on the Order's troops. Many were fortunate to catch arrows with the shield. Some Zerosai took friendly fire, but were immune to poison-tipped arrows. The party of heroes have made their way to back ranks and have stuck in it as a tight group. Richmond, Relos, Grendel were clearing out the Zerosai in droves. Cyrus was clearing away to the Zerosai chief, swinging with his axe. Atalo was covering him with a flaming arrow. Right behind Cyrus was Trino, the elf, with his daggers. Bartholomew, Chiasin, and Philin were not too far away, fighting the Blizgen. Barow was with his squad of 2 elves, Raffin and Lucinda. Barow had 2-handed hammer that he was fighting a general of the Zerosai army with. Raffin and Lucinda were clearing out the surrounding Zerosai invaders to buy Barow some time. Barow struck the general in his right leg, and general swung back and hit Barrow's metal hammer stock. Barow took another shot at the general and wounded his shoulder. Zerosai general. The general, too wounded to fight back, made a bloody cry for reinforcements on his position in Cinthio Salamanca. Lucinda ran towards the general and executed him with his sword and urged Barow onto the next battle. The Zerosai had breached far into the ranks, and the Order's massive casualties ensued. The Order began raining boulders with the siege weapons to clear out the advancing Zerosai. The Zerosai army had dwindled to 15,000. While the Order has about 5,000 remaining. The Order falls back to the gates to take a defensive position. Meanwhile, our heroes have taken out some of the key players of the Zerosai tribe and are escaping down the coast for a defensive position because they had heard the horns of retreat. Chapter 8, Survivor's Tale. As the battle looked grim for the Order and the heroes, Sneed said that we shall never fail. It's time to win by strategy. The heroes noticed jets of flames coming out of the top of Mount Maxis. There was no quaking of the ground long ago. There was mention of dragons in the land of Resin. 2 dragons have been awakened in the volcano's core, Onias and Rubius. One molten black and the other ruby red had emerged from the volcano's mouth. The dragons to be lay siege on the invaded army. Their flaming breath took out thousands of Zerosai militants. Relos told Lucinda and Trino that he has gotten an idea for the rest of the party to return to the gate. The party of 3 discussed amongst themselves in Elvish.
Relos, these humans don't know about elvish magic. It had been kept hidden from them. They seem to be taken to blacksmithing and engineering. I want us 3 to go to the top of the volcano and activate it with our ancient spells. Lucinda, they're not going to like it. Trino, are you sure the explosion won't take out the gate's defensive position? Relos, I am sure the volcano has gone off before. I saw volcanic residue on the gates and evidence of volcanic rock on the coast. They'll be alright. We are going to light it on the delay and make our way to the water and swim as far as possible away and circle back to the camp. I think we can handle any skirmishes we face on the way to the top, if any at all.
The journey to the volcano top to be expanded on. The travelers make it to the top and put their hand on the volcano top and speak in Trillian.
The 3 elves. Irthum is Spinter Fruth. How much of a delay will there be? Trino asked. Relos, I'd say 15 minutes.
They run down the coast for 5 minutes and dive into the water to swim far away, dodging the enemy. Small skirmishes were encountered, but the team overpowered them all. No one knows of this but us, and the volcano is about to blow. The rest of the heroes make it to the gate and bunker down to the gate to watch. There's a bridge that goes over the top, over the drop-off between the land of the volcano and the rest of Resin. Sneed, Hurley, and Barrow all catch up together at this post to discuss strategy.
Sneed, the best thing we could do is let them attack our post and lay a counter siege against them. The dragons have whittled them in their numbers. There were many who did not make it back to the gate. Hurley, we still kept most of our archers. Their advantage was in numbers.
The volcano erupts violently, sending lava and ash all around. The blast waves hit the gate's bunker position. The enemy is drowning in lava. The enemy generals made it back to their fleets where they were positioned on the coast. Some of the enemy's armada caught fire. Some boats retreated to the site of eruption. The small party of elves took a deep dive into the sea when the volcano erupted and were down for 2 minutes. When things settled, they circled back to the gates of fire and joined Hurley. The party of elves were asked what they had been doing for this time, and they sheepishly lied. They said they were searching for another general of the enemy army. They were not willing to let on their use of magic to activate the volcano. They wanted to keep a secret from the order. The other elves knew and just nodded in agreement.
Hurley, I don't know how you all survived that. The blast took out the majority of the enemy army. Relos, well, us elves have good senses. We heard the volcano rumbling and headed for the ocean. Sneed, let's send scouts out in a week after the lava cools.
A week passes. The heroes walked by the volcano, and where there were once fallen soldiers and bloodshed, there were a layer of lava rock, and you can still make out some of the remains of the both armies, but there will be no identifying losses here. The heroes made it to the bay where the armada had been, and there wasn't a ship in sight. Let's hope they went back to Eastern Callum with their tails between their legs. After all, the Order's army had suffered a loss of around 10,000 men. This is a big blow to the Order, and the families will be mourning. Each man represents an integral part of the Order and will be sorely missed. Chapter 9, Hero Ceremony. The heroes return to City Kyvel. Just below in the valley of the waterfall of Castle Veracio runs through the triumphal march to the castle ensues shortly after. The heroes will be crowned Legends of War. Barrow will be promoted to general at the hand, giving his main duties are to be blacksmithing for the Order. Secondly, Hurley will replace Sneed as warlord of the Order's army. The casualty Sneed faced took a toll on his emotions, and we will be sitting out from all remaining wars. Hurley, on the other hand, is young and full of stratagem and wisdom for war. He is accompanied by Ivy and Phrasen in his ceremony for warlord. The heroes in Barrow's troop are all awarded garlands and breastplates of gold for their outstanding service. High Elf Mendo congratulates each elf in the party and promotes them within the Lionheart army. As for the men, Grindo, Richmond, Cyrus, Chiason, and Bartholomew, they were knighted by the king and queen. They threw a party for the soldiers that lasted 2 weeks. The war was dubbed the War of the Red Coast. Chapter 10, Lands Far Away.
Barrow, let me talk to the cartographer. I thought Resin was the only land with 500 nautical miles of our coasts. Relos replies, Callum is a 2 months journey by boat and would be less than the distance away. Callum is to the northeast of the northern shore of Sundial.
Cartographer draws a map on the large table for the War Council to see.
Cartographer, do you mean something like this?
The council examines the map.
Relos, exactly what I mean. Barrow, are there any other lands that you know of, Relos? Relos, there is a land to the northwest of Callum called Exivis.
Hurley, do you know of any factions that live on Exivis?
Relos, yes, I know that you're a critical society and don't use much magic, but in the land of Exivis there are trolls and orcs. They deal in dark magic. Barrow, have they traveled to Callum? Relos replied, yes, extensively. They raid Callum all the time. We live in southern Callum. Lucinda, so we spare to the brim of it. They may have even set up camp on western Callum. They have corrupted eastern Callum, as well as have turned the blue elves you saw into the war aggressive in nature. Barrow, is that all that you know of Relos? Relos, no, but that's all you need to know of for now.
To be continued.